There are many principalities across the world, but none so unique as the independent Principality of Sealand. What sets Sealand apart from a traditional principality is chiefly its history. Established in international waters according to the international law of the sea in the mid-1960s, it owes its existence today to the sheer hard work and dedication of its founder, Major Roy Bates. Occupying the original wartime fort named Ruff's Tower, a man-made marine structure in the North Sea 7 miles off the east coast of the UK, for the last 35 years Sealand has existed successfully and, what is more, economically and politically independent of all other countries. It holds some ambitious yet realistic plans for the future. Security is tight and worldwide interest is gaining rapidly in this otherwise mysterious and isolated place. Shortly after the outbreak of World War II in the UK, special structures known as sea forts were built and placed in the Thames estuary to help protect London and its surrounding areas from air and sea enemy invasion. The objective was for radar equipment, which was new technology at the time, to be installed on the forts alongside anti-aircraft guns and other defence equipment, to act as an early warning system for and deal with enemy attacks and mine laying. There were 2 designs of sea fort built, one for the British Army, the other for the British Navy. The Army had 3 forts strategically sited close to the UK coastline. The Navy had 4, and these tended to be sited further out to sea. The Army forts comprised of 7 towers on legs linked by steel catwalks, housing searchlights, fuel, living quarters and guns, etc. The Navy ones were a much simpler one-piece construction mounted on 2 hollow reinforced concrete legs, each around 9.5 metres in diameter and supported by a pontoon base. Each leg contained 7 decks for stores of ammunition, food, fuel and other supplies, as well as living accommodation. On top of the 2 legs sat a steel platform for the guns, radar equipment, control tower and other military hardware. The first Navy fort was placed off the port of Harwich in January 1942 and, like all the others, was built at Gravesend in the UK and towed out by boat to be sunk and anchored into position at the nautical points where they were needed. The Army forts were situated at sea points known as Shivering Sands, Red Sands and the Great Nore. The Navy forts were situated at the Sunk Sands, the Ruffs, where Sealand is sited today, Tongue Sands and the Knock John. Collectively, apart from all the successful early warning activities they achieved, the military sited on the forts shot down enemy aircraft, flying bombs and neutralised much hostile shipping and were an effective countermeasure against submarines. After the war, the forts were abandoned, but in the mid-1960s a few were used to house offshore pirate radio stations, as the sites were at that time outside British territorial waters. The Navy fort at the Sunk Head, for example, was used for a station called Radio Tower. It was the Knock John fort that was taken over by businessman Roy Bates, and he kitted it out for what was to become a successful UK-financed local radio station called Radio Essex, which broadcast on 222 metres in the medium wave band. Broadcasts started in October 1965. Roy also planned to open another station, Radio Kent, using another fort sited off Margate. Although preparations were started to make the structure ready for radio use, by this time UK laws were about to change that would render such plans pointless. On the 28th of September 1966, Roy Bates was served with a court summons alleging his breach of the new Wireless Telegraphy Act, which was passed to outlaw such unauthorised broadcasting. Bates fought the case on what was perceived to be good grounds and renamed Radio Essex BBMS, Britain's Better Music Station, but his radio operations were finally outlawed after his court appeal failed and the station ceased broadcasting on the 18th of January 1967. Likewise, other such stations functioning from forts within territorial waters were also outlawed, shut down and abandoned. Most of those forts still remain today, although in a very derelict condition. The one at the Sunk Head was destroyed by the British Navy as its position became a nuisance to shipping. But by then the respected maverick Roy Bates did not sit on his hands. Using his preeminent business skills, worldwide contacts and his knowledge of the UK and international territorial waters and wireless telegraphy laws, he identified and grasped a legal opportunity to set up his own principality. After the closure of Radio Essex and BBMS, Roy and his wife Joan, a former beauty queen of the 60s, set up home on the more northerly Ruff's Tower, renamed it Sealand, and claimed it as their own independent state.